Grandest. There's a lot going on right now, but I want you guys to actually see some of this information. Actually, let me start with this quick clip, and then we'll play this video, which is very important, very pertinent. Right? Let's see. Let's see. Where is it? This is going to be a short video. I just wanted you guys to see this real quick. Hold on a second. Let me see. All right. Let's see. Is it playing or what? What's going on? What's going on?
Woo! Get in here. Boy, you gonna want to stay for this. This is about to blow your mind, right? So, it was called conspiracy theories, the one that found this map. And ever since then, they tried to bury it in the internet. But let's go down this rabbit hole to see what I uncovered, because I had to say, you just gotta question everything. So do we actually have an Egyptian sea? Oh, let's go down this rabbit hole today. Yes, we do. But you see what they slick behind and done? Now you see it. This is the Egyptian sea. But what they did is they put the dot right here where it opened up to the Egyptian sea. So instead of just calling this the Egyptian sea, they slick behind, put the dot right here. So you think it's a coincidence? But not only that, it gets deeper with the conspiracy. Now, why would you intentionally, if you type in Jordan River, it literally does not say Salt Lake City, Utah. It brings you over to Israel or Egypt. So why they don't teach this in school? See, they've been changing stuff over here, slowly bringing it over there through each generation. See, we called them, boys. See, we called them. Now it makes sense. Don't no group of people just disappear. Oh, yeah, the Israelites and the Egyptians was melanated, but they disappeared. So what you did is, you erasing this history, renaming lakes, renaming everything, or just not teaching the history at all.
Renaming everything.
And you taking it over there.
Creating continents.
And all our civil rights leaders is not preaching this. Right? All our schools is not preaching this.
They don't know what they're talking about.
Everybody is not preaching this because it's collective effort to hide who we are. So when they say the lost tribe of Israel, we not lost. They just keep renaming us, because you gotta understand why they keep renaming us the only one on the planet.
Keep trying to give a fictitious avatar name too. Now check this out. Like he said, he's confirming everything I keep telling you guys. They are consistently trying to move everything from here over there. Now, I have not even spoken to this brother about this particular information. So here's information he's finding, and it's been proven as well. When I tell you that these people they have been doing this for so long that everyone has just assumed the truth of what they think it is, right? But it's real crazy. I want you guys to see this. This will be, it won't be too long of a video. I just want to show a couple of things real quick. And yeah, that's it. Let's go with this one real quick. And put this disclaimer up just in case. Yes, on blast. Wait till you see this video, sis. This thing cracked me up right here. This one. Ooh-wee. Let's go.
Beach in Spain, a boat of African migrants land ashore. which really makes you wonder, why does it seem these boats are always carrying military-age males equipped with smartphones? Because it's not only Spanish beaches, but Italian islands. Where again, the boats are occupied by exclusively military-age males with smartphones and name-brand clothing. And these exact same beach landings are occurring all throughout Europe, where the mainstream dinosaur media seems to be outright ignoring it. Now granted, it is a European issue as they are in such close proximity to Africa, but it does look awfully familiar to what we covered on this channel, as just 2 months ago, the US border in Texas saw our version of the European beaches, or even our migrant camps look eerily similar to what France's migrant camps look like. And that's how this always goes down. Their narrative behind their agenda is idealistic, they will bring prosperity to everyone involved. But when the reality is riddled with criminals taking advantage of weak policies, the media doesn't determine whether this is a crisis based on the amount of suffering, they just base it on who's currently in power. Because the UK knows this is a rising issue.
The surge in small boat arrivals is just the latest setback to the government's plans to tackle the Channel migrant crisis. And if those figures continue to increase beyond last year's totals, Rishi Sunak will face the prospect of failing to meet one of his government's key priorities.
But somehow there's still mass protests in favor of unlimited immigration, where very vulnerable looking people sing shanties about accepting everyone with the power of love, as the UK becomes increasingly more diverse. Which really seems to be a self-defeating policy here, as this group of socialists wearing seize the means of production shirts, demanding open borders, no deportations, with stop the far right signs, yet this group outnumbers the camera guy 100 to 1 and somehow still can't be intimidating.
It always happens.
Go on. What? Clear off. What are we going to do? You come up to me like he's going to do something, mate. You come up like he's going to do something. Are you going to do something?
What do they really think will happen if the UK suddenly has a majority of fundamentally religious people? Do they actually think that the migrants will sing shanties about accepting the things that are punishable by death in their home country? Because the unrest in France really showed us how quickly an entire culture can change. Where the new French praise their home country of Morocco, aggressively denouncing the people of France, specifically the people of Nice that took them in, bragging that they're only here for their social welfare. And in response to the riots, the police get heavy-handed with French journalists, and apparently pass a bill that allows law enforcement to remotely activate their cameras and microphones on their devices without their knowledge. Now, Twitter's community notes state it's only for people targeted in organized crime or terror investigations, but how quickly will that law be misused? Because it really seems that everything temporarily done for the safety of the citizens eventually becomes permanent and is eventually used beyond its original purpose. It's almost like they purposely want things to get bad because it allows them to seize more power, as apparently France is sending their migrants to the UK, where England now experiences mass looting events.
The police do what they can with the resources they have.
And even Germany sees unrest in the streets, as Belgium also had to deploy their riot police. It doesn't take a genius to identify that there's problems here, but apparently the left thinks you're a bad person for pointing that out. But even I'm saying there's a problem here, being someone not born in the US that mainly interacts with people that are either first or second generation immigrants. Because I'm a firm believer that immigration is a good thing, but not this completely lawless scenario that enriches criminals and victimizes the innocent. Like with the disaster that occurred on the boat from Libya to Greece.
So that he believes that it's a great thing for immigrants, right? To be able to integrate into other countries for their benefit, making sure they have documentation from different counselors, so on and so forth. So now what we have is these people actually saying that they are able to have this done through the government, which is funded. This is why they get like certain amounts when they come here. This is why they're allocated funding. This is why Biden allocated $53 million for the Ukraine people so that they'd be able to have funding, set up articles of incorporation, certificates of participation, having these homeless facilities, people opening up different what do you call it, warehouses to house these people, creating these homeless situations, so on and so forth. All this is being done at the same time.
Where the Washington Post wanted to blame the Greeks on the tragedy, as apparently the boat ran out of water, capsized, and sunk 750 migrants into the sea. I just don't think that it's Greece's fault as much as it's those smugglers that put those people on that boat way over capacity. But all these pro-open borders activists just don't like to think about the horrendous conditions that unchecked mass migration causes. And when they do actually assist in these trips, they don't stop and wonder, why is it mainly military-age males with smartphones wearing Gucci that are making this journey? Now, I don't want to speculate too far in the future, but I really want to know, if Europe finds themselves in World War III, will all these able-bodied, military-age men actually fight on behalf of Europe, as the UK seems increasingly willing to fight Russia?
We are now at war in Europe. We need to move to a war footing. We are involved in that. We've mobilized our procurement processes. We're gifting equipment. We need to face Russia directly and reckon that rather than leaving Ukraine to do all the work.
And just last month, there was speculation of the BRICS nations creating their own currency. Then this month, there is reporting that it will be a gold-backed currency to end reliance on the US dollar. And with Ukraine getting closer to joining NATO, and Biden reiterating that the US will defend NATO borders.
We take, NATO takes, all of us take, Article 5, literally. 1 inch of NATO territory means we're all on the war together against whomever is violating that space.
Now, I'm not trying to argue that to become a citizen of a country, you need to fight in their wars. I just don't understand why countries would accept seemingly unlimited amounts of specifically military-age men that openly state they're just there for the welfare.
Isn't that exactly what's happening though? Every time they have brought people into America, they continue to say it was, a revolutionary war, these different things. What they do is set these immigrants in to come in to fight against us. They've been doing it forever. We know this. We've heard the stories a million times. So they continue to bring the immigrants in so that they have leverage over us, the people that are original to the land. Just like they did bring all those people. You just saw the line of immigrants that were brought in. And then the governor here, he actually sent those people to different areas, not only to New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. So there were thousands and thousands of immigrants that have come across the Mexican border, and the governor Abbott has sent all of these people all over. Now, when sending them there, they're allowed grants or allocated grant money, the funding. If they have these a certain amount of people that are into a state or into a particular city, there is funding allocated for them. Coming from out of country and not having any stability, they're immediately approved. There's no questioning anything. It shows that they are a migrant that just came to the area. Now they can open up indentures of Social Security, things of that nature, to dip into the IIM accounts, the trust accounts. I'm going to definitely get into a bill on. I'm going to go, I had a consult and someone actually asked me about the Indian information again. It's like I've gone over it, but I think I need to do it a little more intense, showing you guys exactly what's going on with these funding, how they manipulated them, the things that they're supposed to allocate the funds for, and they're being used for other people. Another sister told me she's seen that people are being moved into these housing and they're immigrants. But actually there's funding allocated for us through the IIM to take care of this. So how are these immigrants getting housing and things up under our Indian funds? It's real strange. So I definitely want to go over that. I don't know when that'll be, but it's on my mind, and I will definitely be clearing that up and showing you guys where exactly the funds are coming from, where they're allocating the funds to go to, how many people are actually getting paid for these programs, and what's going on with the funds, period.
They reported 79% of the refugees in Sweden vacationing in the country they fled from, and apparently even Germany wanted to strip asylum status away from refugees that visit home on the holidays. There's just something to this equation that political leadership is simply not willing to admit. It's just sad when you take even the slightest glance beyond what their official narrative is, and only then you realize how horrifying the reality is quickly becoming. But By seeing how fast the world is escalating into a global conflict, the only upside that I'm starting to see is I'm really starting to notice exactly what my type is. In that Spain beach video, I really admire that girl that, without hesitation, ran to go protect her nation's borders. Where I recently realized how much I like the tenacity of Barstool's Wingstop girl.
All I want is Wingstop! Why? I'm starving, Swin! What did you eat today? I ate nothing! Nothing!
Who personified that same glowing red-eyed rage as that bath cat. And to those wondering why I would suddenly gain the newfound appreciation for these hyper-aggressive women, I don't think the average American citizen is ready for an actual physical conflict with whatever this is. So if you appreciate my lighthearted but concise commentary on what's really going on in the world, hopefully I've earned your subscription, then go check out the video on what happens when left-wing activists...
So guys, as you see, this is like absurd. They have these people coming in, as we said, and they are all these asylum seekers. I want you guys to see what's been going on actually in New York as well. Now, that was showing you Europe. Now, my thing is, this is their country, right? A lot of these Africans are actually from Europe. This is where the Moors derived from and went into Africa after they were invaded and pushed out. So now these people are having complaints and issues and problems with people coming back to their homeland. It's kind of like us being in our homeland and they trying to get rid of us. They're actually trying to make sure that these people do not have a way to come back in and reassume the land that was already theirs, right? Because these Africans, in true sense, are truly the indigenous European Moors. So if they're going back to Europe, then there's a reason. And like the sister said, why are they leaving? Like that's a very good question, sis. You know, there's a lot going on. And as they stated, they had military gear on. They had name brand clothing. They all had cell phones. So they're not doing so bad, you know. They're not doing the worst. You know, they could be having some other issues going on, but they're doing pretty dang good, right? They come over on the boat by the tons. How'd they get the boat? How'd they safely get there? And so on and so forth. Sounds like something's planned. Is this some type of militant participation of these people that they're going to be doing something to set everything up? Like, we really don't know. But when you think about it, them going back to invade Europe, which is invading their original homeland. They want to tell us we're from a so-called Africa. Yet Africa or Africans or Africanas aren't even from Africa. They're from Europe. Like, it's crazy. And then they try to tell us that Europe is England, but that's absurd in itself because we know that Europe is here in America. So let's continue on. We're going to watch this and I'll be getting out of here right after this.
Asylum seekers at a tent complex on Randall's Island in the East River, as his administration claims the city surpassed its housing limit to shelter the tens of thousands of asylum seekers who've been sent to New York since last year, many by Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott. Newly arrived migrants have repeatedly been forced to sleep in the streets, including last week when dozens waited outside Manhattan's Roosevelt Hotel for days, sleeping shoulder to shoulder on the sidewalk in hopes for a bed and shelter. Others have been stuck in the city's shelter system for months as New York officials have failed to provide asylum seekers with permanent housing. Meanwhile, migrants who apply for asylum have to wait 150 days.
They failed to provide asylum seekers housing. The responsibility of the government to give asylum seekers housing. From what funding? From what money? Are you bringing these people in and setting up funding? We have, like, I don't know, like millions of people, I would think, that are homeless in America right now. We have millions of Americans and people that have been here their whole life, have ancestry here, have grown their entire families here, so on and so forth. These people are seeking asylum and they're immediately granted funding for housing. What about the people that don't have housing now? What about our homeless people sleeping in tents that can't even afford to buy food, and they're constantly harming themselves by fishing through these dirty dumpsters, maybe getting poked by a needle, dirty food because they're looking for scraps of something to eat through these trash cans and things. The rats, especially in New York, oh my gosh, some things look like cats or dogs. You wouldn't believe it. If you've ever been to New York and have never seen one of these things, you are like literally in a good space. The rats are as big as cats and dogs, some of them. I'm so serious. A little mini pooch. So what I'm saying is these homeless people are living on the streets with these type of things that crawl around them, over them all day. They don't have food. They don't have housing. They were born here. They have funding that is allocated to their names a lot of times. A lot of these homeless people cannot get new certificates. You have to have some type of proof to go and get a new certificate. You have to have some type of proof to get a new social security card. So if these people don't have this, then how would they be able to, get the ID or whatever they need to, go on with their lives, right? So when it comes to that, their health is at risk. Their safety is at risk. There's a lot of harm, especially with the homeless women, with being raped and, sexual exploitation, even sex trafficking for some younger homeless people. So when you think about what's going on here, right here in America, with the Americans, the originals, including the ones that are not indigenous to the land, but at least have been living here for centuries, and their families have come from Africa and, built up things here, so on and so forth. We know about some of these people. But generally, it's the people that are true Americans that are homeless, in this area. Because if you're a person from another fake-ass continent, you can apply simply and get funding. So you don't have to struggle, right? Now, when you're looking at all these immigrants that are coming in, taking the places of people that actually are deserving, where are they getting the funding? The funding is allocated through the Indian Trust Funding, through the Welfare Act and the Housing Act. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to do a complete bill on the Indian money. And when I do that, you guys are really going to see how they literally allocate funding for this through agriculture, all these different things. They're setting up funding and they're saying, hey, we need it for this, we need it for that. They pull in the funding to say that they are appropriately satisfying what needs to be done, which isn't true. They fall off on their fiduciary responsibilities and are not taking care of people the way they need to, because they use the funds in mishaps to fund these other people that aren't legally here, so on and so forth, right? So you guys see it. You see what's going on. Let's continue, finish the video real quick. Appreciate you guys' presence. Thanks so much for coming through.
Is 5 months to file for a work permit, leaving them few options to make a stable living while they wait. For more, we're joined here in New York by Murad Awouda, Executive Director of the New York Immigration Coalition and NYIC Action. Welcome back to Democracy Now!, Murad. Talk about the situation today where the mayor, the Democratic mayor, Eric Adams, faces a deadline to tell the state, tell the New York governor what New York City needs.
Well, first, thank you for having me with you today. I think one piece of information I'd love to share is that New York City, New York State has welcomed immigrants and refugees for centuries. This time is no different. We have been welcoming folks from across the world. And this past year, we've seen an increase of folks coming from the southern border. And through that, we've also seen our systems not actually working here in the city. We're a city of 9 million people. We're a city that has long had an incredible impact across the spectrum of contributions from various communities, specifically within immigrant communities, helping build our skyscrapers, our bridges, and every piece of New York City and New York State has the immigrant imprint in it. Last week, what we saw on the news across the globe at this point is asylum seekers sleeping outside of the Roosevelt Hotel, which has been converted into an immigrant welcome center. And those images were gut-wrenching. How can we in a city of New York continue to have a broken system, a broken shelter system that continues to have people dehumanized in this way? As well as last week, there was a court hearing where
What are you even
the city
talking about,
and
dude?
Legal Aid, who's the
Hold on. This dude said to dehumanize, right? To dehumanize these people that have come here for asylum, that have come here for help, that have come here because they're hungry, and leaving our people already still on the street. So it's our responsibility. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Let's hear that part one more time. I gotta go back. Hold on, guys.
People dehumanized in this way.
Dehumanized. Well, what about us? What about the original landowners that have been dehumanized, have had our history and heresy stolen from us to be misappropriately used for these immigrants and other immigrants that have been coming in through exactly where he said, New York, through the immigration asylum they have in New York, via Ellis Island, also coming in through Angels Island, bringing in all the immigrants to take your place, right? But now he wants us to be concerned about the dehumanizing behavior of these immigrants that they're bringing in, and they don't have housing for them, they don't have a placement for them. But it's our responsibility to help with the same conclusion that we came to before, helping the immigrants, pulling them in. Our governors and the Congress at that time allowed these people to come in and have a place because they were dirty, hungry, they didn't have anything. So of course we're sharers. We believe in sharing and helping others. So because of that, they have also come and taken away all of the rights of our people, and yet willing to give them to someone else so that they can have a better life. Isn't that amazing? While we continue to struggle.
As well as last week, there was a court hearing where the city and legal aid, who's the monitor for the shelter system, went into court, and it was a closed door session, but pretty much it sounded like when they got out, the city needed to make its request to the state on what other supports that they needed for shelter, because in the state constitution, it also puts it on the state. But this doesn't erase the fact that we've been dealing with the increase of folks coming for a past year, and we've just been doubling and tripling down on broken policies and broken systems that don't work and never have worked. So for us, we've been asking for people to be supported to get out of shelter and into permanent housing. And that continues to be our top ask in this moment.
Mayor Adams has asked to suspend a decades-old right to shelter order that requires New York City to provide shelter to anyone who asks for it. Talk about the significance of this, Murad.
Right to shelter is actually as you mentioned, a decades-old policy that actually allows for, regardless of who you are, to be able to get a shelter bed. Historically, there was a lot of tension within the services that were being provided decades ago, where single men were not allowed to get shelter. And the court found that that was inhumane and illegal. So since then, right to shelter has been not just a court decree, but it's a law. We have numerous policies at the state level, at the local level, where we pretty much have codified in a number of different ways. It's a very complicated policy, but it's incredibly strong. So you can't just gut it because you don't want to fix the system that's broken. You have to actually fix it. And the best way of fixing it is actually cutting the red tape and the barriers from people who are unhoused being able to get the support that they need to get out of shelter and into permanent housing, which seems to be a big issue for this mayor who doesn't want to do that.
So Mayor Adams is actually saying he wants to send flyers to the U.S.-Mexico border, telling asylum seekers not to come to New York. And then we know, of course, the governors are sending asylum seekers to New York. Some don't even know exactly what's happening or where they're going.
Yeah, I think that we need to really invest whatever resources we have right now into staffing up our city's workforce. And not these other stunts of like hiring outreach workers at the southern border to deter people from coming to New York, because New York has historically been seen as where you can achieve your American dream. And that's why many.
Well, sis, didn't we just go over the bill I did last week? Remember, sis, that showed you that they have all of these foreigners coming in. They have them coming in and they're pledging them as police officers. They're having them come in as police officers, non-citizens people. Says, do you remember the video? Go back and over this past week. I don't remember what day it was, but I literally just gave out this information since last week, showing that these people are actually housing these immigrants and they're making them citizen patrol, basically, having them be militant over United States citizens. How do you have foreigners come in and be militant over the United States citizens unless you're trying to force a new genocide upon us and a dehumanizing behavior via these contracts, right? You remember? Okay, sis, yes, exactly.
Immigrants, including my family, have come to New York, and why the city and the
Include
state's
my
population,
family.
over a quarter of the state's population are immigrants, and that's why they continue to come to the
That's
state
right.
regardless
Watch the
of
video
what
on
folks
Cabbage
are
Patch
saying,
Kids.
because this is where, if you can make it in New York, you know, you can make it anywhere, and that's the dream that folks are trying to strive for. And in this situation, people just need a little bit of help. What we're seeing is that adult asylum seekers and migrants who are coming here are not actually staying in the system very long. They're staying about, on average, between 30 and 45 days. What we're seeing that's actually more distressing is the migrant families and recent arrival families that are actually going to be stuck in the shelter system even longer than historically unhoused families. And our historically unhoused families stay in this shelter system for years before they're ever offered any real support to get out into permanent housing. So we want to flip this on its head and actually support people to get out as quickly as possible.
Murata, where are the asylum seekers coming from? Not all are from Latin America, but within Latin America, where and where from elsewhere?
We're seeing a lot of folks. I think the vast majority of people who've come over the past year are Venezuelan. And what we've seen also with regard to Venezuela is that the government has collapsed in a number of different ways, right? And we in the US are not seeing the highest migration of Venezuelans here. If you look around in surrounding countries, about 6 or 7 million Venezuelans left Venezuela, and the vast majority of them are in South and Central America as refugees in their neighboring countries. So we're just seeing a small population of Venezuelans coming up. And there's an increase in global migration across the board. So this isn't unique to the US. This is happening everywhere. And we actually have to create policies that move us into being more welcoming and continuing to actually give people refuge and safety. But the vast majority of the asylum seekers are Latino, with a great deal of folks coming from Venezuela, some folks coming from Peru, Colombia, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Ecuador. But then we also have a large contingent of folks coming from Africa, right? We have folks coming from Senegal, Mali, Mauritania, Nigeria, Democratic Republic of Congo. We have folks coming from Haiti. We have folks coming from everywhere.
Which also, by the way, goes to issues beyond immigration. For example, when it comes to Venezuela, the strangling sanctions the U.S. has imposed against the Venezuelan government.
Yeah, or just foreign policy in general, and how our foreign policy is impacting our the migration movement on a global scale, right? It's not just what's happening there. It's also historically the U.S. interventionist policy in these other countries as well that has moved people to seek safety and refuge here.
And the climate crisis.
Absolutely.
So finally, are other cities looking to New York as an example of how to deal with asylum seekers?
I think that unfortunately right now what we're seeing is that other cities are actually busing people to New York as well, instead of trying to find how they can support our new arrivals, right? But if folks want to come to New York, we're here to support them. I think that we have to, this is not just a New York issue. We're seeing folks coming from everywhere, going to different cities. So I think that there is a model here that we can be uplifting. And I think LA actually has the better model of how to support recent arrivals and ensuring that they're getting the support and housing as well as the services that they need, where it's a real partnership from every level of government down to the community-based organizations, really stepping up to actually meet the moment together.
Murata Wadawon, thank you for being with us, Executive Director of the New York Immigration Coalition.
The New York Immigration Coalition. Like, who gives a damn about that? That's another organization. The New York Immigration Coalition. Do you know how much funding they're getting? Do you know how much funding they are getting just to have an organization set up to bring these people in, right? It's so sick and disgusting. I'm just so tired of all of this nonsense, I swear. But there are so many things you can do only individually in setting up and getting things together, right? But we're not going to get into all that today. But I definitely want people to understand what's going on. They've been doing this forever. Didn't they say, oh, this has been going on forever? They even know, oh, it's been going on forever, 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 forever. Yeah. Bringing in these same people. But he talking about, what did he say? They had a house or bed, whatever that policy they said that was put in to make sure that everyone gets a shelter space, right? What about all these people living on the street? Why they don't have a shelter space? And then when you watch videos about these shelter spaces, a lot of times they're saying, oh my gosh, there's molestation going in there. I got a child. I didn't want my child in there. They've had sexual assaults. All these things going on in these facilities. So why can't they set up a decent, correct facility so that when the facility is put in place correctly, it can house people and their families and so on and so forth, but you have something for these migrants. A whole system set up that's being funded yearly out of what money? Y'all say y'all broke, which we know the whole system has failed, which we know in true actuality, none of this shit is really going on. We hear all these things in the news when it comes to the so-called government, but that corp has failed. Y'all done bankrupt. I'm going to show y'all all these different documents. They've been bankrupt. It's been a rap for them. They keep trying to initiate and pull themselves in by any avenue that they can, using these immigrants as a leeway or a type of balance that they can kind of occur when it comes to this, because they want to try and see how they can solicit funds. Now, if they have these migrants in, they get these new socials, what happens? That immediately goes into the Indian Trust Fund. So now they're under these particular people. I've told you guys about this before. When they have certain politicians that'll bring immigrants into an area, the college electoral votes you'll be hearing about, this is so that they're able to have the control. So when they have these people coming in and setting everything up so that they're able to have the control, now they're putting them into office now. Oh, wow, you're an immigrant? Oh, well, you know what? Why don't you come work? Now I can give city government funding for policing a person that was an immigrant, instead of them being they may have came from their country as a murderer, killing people, chopping their head off, molesting children, molesting women. They could have did all that and then came over here, but hey, we'll just give them a police badge. We don't know shit about them. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what actually these people are bringing to the plate when they come over to set themselves on our technological plate of America, our soil, our ground, right? But they want to continue to bring these people over because why? It's a battle against us. Because why? We're uprising. And if y'all saw that video, it was saying they were going over there in the European countries. They had militant gear on and phones. And why would they have all that stuff on? Because it's an uprising that's going on all over. Y'all ready? Is y'all ready? Exactly. Trafficking right in front of... And all this is going on now. It's in front of our face because why? Biden's son, once his son got exposed and they shut down that trafficking lab that they had, that underground trafficking lab that what's his name? Joe Biden, not Joe Biden, what's his son's name? Oh man, I'm sorry guys, y'all know I don't even give a damn or care really, but y'all know what I'm talking about. When his son got when they busted the underground tunnels over there in Ukraine, which is part of that war, they were sexually trafficking people. They saved nearly I know it was over 1,200 people that they found in those underground tunnels. But have we heard any charges being set up against him? Why? Because this has already been done, guys. See, they're setting these things up for a stage play. I keep trying to tell y'all. They want you people to believe, these things are happening. Biden is not a real character. Well, he's a character, but he's not a real person, per se. It's a name. It's a character. It's an avatar. He's perpetrating, and he's playing his part in the theatrics, including his son, Trump, all these different people. They have played their roles because they have to set up a stage play and a scene for the American people so that we don't flip out. So that we don't know, wait a minute, y'all been screwing us over for all these years, taking from our ancestors, this, and that. Oh, they know. Y'all may not know what's going on. I keep trying to tell y'all. I keep trying to put y'all in a place. But you guys may not know, but they know what's going on. They know we have been uprising, and all of the things that they have been doing are going to come to a demise because they've been shut down. Half of these people are in jail. They've been through tribunals. They have been hung, electrocuted. They've taken pledges and things just so that they can continue to save their name. So because of that, this is why we're not hearing all the true story. I know you guys just recently heard about the big thing with Mel Gibson and Oprah and so on and so forth. See, they have to expose her now because she's already been through tribunals. She was wearing an ankle monitor for like 2 years. It's a wrap for her ass too. Oprah, you gotta go with your sick, perverted, disgusting ass. So all these people, right, that participated in this sex trafficking, child trafficking, and continue to do all these things that are going against the American nature or the laws of nature, it's a wrap. They about to, yeah. Hunter, thank you, brother. Yes, Hunter Biden. Yes. So they found everything in that lab. Everything in the lab. That's right. It's a wrap. They all the stuff that they did or thought they did was gonna get away from. Yes, these foreigners gotta go, Michelle. Yes, sis, they gotta go. Get the F on. Yes, sis, exactly. I've shown the list too. Dang, I should have pulled it out. I didn't think I was gonna talk about that, but yeah, you guys, I've told you guys about this so long. It's just crazy. I've shown you. There's a whole bill on it. Exactly, actors, avatars. They just have these people because see, they gotta fool you into thinking that this is actually going on. Oh yeah, there hasn't been a tribunal. Shit, if people actually believe in the tribunal, they're gonna say, well, shit, what did they go to tribunals for? What happened? So they can't let you be aware of all this stuff, guys. Come on. They try to keep it hidden from you. So now they have to continue to set the stage play so that you're falling for it. They want you to believe all the things that they're telling you. They want you to, oh, this just happened and this shit been happened. Y'all been busted. Y'all been arrested. Y'all all gotta go. Y'all all gotta go or been gone. All these characters from Ellis Island, y'all all been through tribunals as well, including Oprah, Ellen, all these perverted, sick weirdos. So they already have been through these tribunals. They've already been sentenced. We're now witnessing the stage plays of these things. This happened like I did a build on this on my old radio show, Melanated Mondays radio show. I did a build on this like 5 years ago, about 5 years ago. So this is like old news, y'all. People thinking this is like new news. You're hearing about these things, but this shit is so old. These people been doing this shit to us for hundreds of years. Pedophiles, trafficking, moving, switching people place to place. When they say the servitude and all these different things, that was all sex trafficking as well. Sex trafficking, human trafficking, labor workers trying to traffic them, And we showed you that slave shit is a complete nonsense story because the people who had bonds on them, there were bondsmen available to make sure that they were appropriately taking care of their positions. If they owed a person, they had a debt, so on and so forth. There's just so much going on, guys. It's just really absurd that people are caught up in these lies and they really believe them. They think that this stuff is happening and it pisses me off because it's so fictitious. I try to bring people into reality, busting down the portals of their minds so that they can see true light. Open up to the truth. Open up to what's going on. Open up to the seeing the reality. The reality. When you're thinking about a real, what? Like a theatrical will. This is what they're putting in front of you now. A reel of lies. A film. It's like it's playing out. I showed you guys the other week the Jews and how they set everything up in the system, right? How did they set it up through theatrics? I didn't get back into it. I said I wanted to show you guys the ISIS theater. Maybe I'll do that when we get to the next department of information. But I really appreciate you guys. This has been a quick build. As I said, I didn't want to stay up too long. I have a couple of calls I need to make shortly, but I wanted to make sure I brought some information to the table. I'll do part 2 on what we were speaking on yesterday soon as well. And make sure that we are all in the correct space. Make sure that we're doing everything that we need to do to align ourselves for everything that's happening because everything's coming to the light. That's why I keep telling you about this EMP threat. Oh, there's going to be a big EMP threat. Yeah, because we're going to lose electricity because all the systems are going to be down because everything's going to be shut down and they're going to have to do a new reset. So when that happens, I just hope everyone is prepared because it's going to be a lot. They have been working on your mental for so long that people are just most higher ups are married to trans men. Exact, brother. Yes, they're all married to the trans because it's all part of the agenda. the trans agenda. Trans, just like we hear about the African slave trade, all this stuff. Transportation. Transportation. Moving, shifting things. Trans agenda, the pan-African, the pan-trans-African, all these things. When you think about these things, they're all fictitious. So let's make sure that we are in point when it comes to all these things. Peace, love, and bliss. I'm out.